Salve a tutti, sono Almarok e benvenuti in un nuovo video sulle band che per via delle loro scelte sbagliate hanno finito per perdere credibilità o addirittura per scomparire dalla scena black metal. L'ultima volta abbiamo parlato dell'ascesa e del declino dei Satyricon, questa volta invece voglio parlare di un'altra band leggendaria all'interno della scena black metal, ovvero gli svedesi Dissection. In questo video ci concentreremo sulla loro storia, dalle origini fino al successo, fino alla prima battuta d'arresto a causa dell'incarcerazione di John Vint, al ritorno fino allo scioglimento definitivo e alla morte del leader. Anche in questo caso vi dico che durante il video saranno presenti estratti di interviste che ho fatto ad ex membri di Dissection e a persone che hanno conosciuto John Vint, in modo da avere anche il loro punto di vista sulla vicenda dei Dissection, mentre qui sul canale potete trovare le interviste complete e quindi banda agli indugi direi di iniziare subito. I Dissection nascono in Svezia nel 1989, fondati dal cantante e chitarrista John Vint, all'epoca 14enne, insieme al batterista Ole Oman e al bassista Peter Pandal. Tra il 1991 e il 1993 la band pubblica i demo The Grief Prophecy, The Somberlain e Promo 1993 e l'EP Into Infinite Obscurity, in cui è presente anche il chitarrista John Zwetzlut, con cui la band nel 1993 registrerà anche il suo primo album, The Somberlain, pubblicato per la No Fashion Records. The Somberlain è già di per sé un capolavoro, un grandissimo debut album che rappresenta il primo esempio di melodic black metal svedese. Infatti, a differenza di quello norvegese, oltre a tutta la ferocia e l'aggressività nelle composizioni e nella voce che alterna growl e scream, sono presenti anche componenti death metal e parti melodiche, qualcosa di inusuale per la scena norvegese, che invece nei Dissection rappresenta una delle particolarità e delle caratteristiche più interessanti dell'intero lavoro. Ci sono poi canzoni capolavoro come Black Horizons, la title track e Crimson Towers, che sono delle vere e proprie perle. Un disco che non è perfetto, c'è qualche errore tipico dell'età giovanile della band e anche la produzione non è di qualità eccellente, ma sta di fatto che è diventato con il tempo un disco di culto per gli amanti della scena svedese, nonché uno dei migliori debut album nella storia del black metal, che dimostra già tutte le caratteristiche che poi la band andrà a tirare fuori anche con i dischi successivi.
The Somberlain was it was brutal to record because we were living in different cities, all of us. None of us lived in the same place. I lived in Karlstad. Peter lived in Strömstad, I think. John lived Gothenburg. And Jon lived in Eskilstuna. We hadn't rehearsed for, I don't know how long. And then all of a sudden, yeah, studio's booked, we're going in. So we just had to merge for a weekend and rehearse and put together the last stuff for the album. And then into the studio, I had 1 day to put down the drums, which I didn't really know. So, and I wasn't in peak performance. So we had to rush it. So I'm not happy about that recording for my own sake, because I could have played that album much, much better. Songs, on the other hand, are brilliant. It spans from the very beginning of Dissection to that point that we were at the moment. I love them still, after 33 years or something, I don't know. It's a long time ago, 32. That's about that I can say about that album. So many contributions. Lots of people think that Jon was a one-man army. He wasn't. Jon especially contributed a lot to the Somberlain. All of us was in the arrangement process. We often, we built the songs in the rehearsal room. Jon had ideas, sometimes almost on a finished song, but then we changed a lot of things because, it didn't sound good enough. And Jon was always humble when it came to his music. He wasn't, a dictator. So this is my riff, this is how I want it, blah, 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 so this is how it's going to be. He was really, okay, let's try that. And if it was better than what he has been thinking, his original idea, he just went for it. Yeah, this sounds much better. Let's go. So really easy to work with. It was actually all of us had something to do with that album, but especially Jon and Jon writing music for it.
Nel 1995, dopo l'ingresso del chitarrista Johan Norman, i Dissection pubblicano il loro secondo album per l'etichetta Nuclear Blast Storm of the Light's Been, il capolavoro assoluto dei Dissection, un disco semplicemente perfetto in cui la ferocia, l'aggressività del black metal, le componenti death metal e le melodie oscure e affascinanti che già abbiamo ascoltato in The Somberlain qui trovano la perfetta coesistenza. È un mix perfetto tra tutte queste influenze, che unite tra di loro creano qualcosa di semplicemente fantastico. Tutto in questo disco è semplicemente perfetto, dalla sessione ritmica ai blast beat, alla voce, alle chitarre, alle atmosfere, tutto è curato nei minimi dettagli. Ci sono poi grandissimi ospiti alla voce come Legion dei Marduk e Hate degli Abruptum, e anche il loro contributo è eccellente. Sono presenti poi canzoni capolavoro come Night's Blood, Tones of Crimson Death, Soul Reaper e Where the Angels Lie, la canzone probabilmente manifesto dei Dissection, dedicata alla memoria di Euronymous, infatti presente anche nella compilation Nordic Metal A Tribute to Euronymous, e canzone capolavoro, così come un capolavoro è tutto l'album. Io lo definisco il The Mysteries Dom Satanas svedese, in quanto è stato anche uno degli album più copiati. Molte band hanno cercato di riproporre queste sonorità o di rifarsi a quest'album, ma è impossibile perché è frutto della mente compositiva di John Udvint, che qui dimostra tutto il suo genio, la sua versatilità e il suo talento come musicista e compositore, regalandoci un album immortale.
Storm of the Light Spain was a different story. John left, or had to leave because of circumstances, and took in Johan Norman. He had some of his ideas, but most of that album is Jon's baby. No one can take that away from him. He wrote the main part of that album. But I helped him a lot with arrangements because we were living together. He had lots of riffs, just been sitting recording, and I said, "What's that?" "Yeah, it's some riff I'm going to throw away." "No, you're not, because we're going to listen to it." We found a couple of those riffs, and all of a sudden, Johan had one riff, and then from thrown away riffs, we had the Thorns of Crimson Death. So it's a good thing I found that tape. Otherwise, that song wouldn't exist. Also, that we were starting to experiment a bit. More melodies, more progressive. We wanted to make an album that didn't sound like anything else, but with inspiration from our heroes that we had at the time. And I think we put together, a mishmash and made it our own. And I think Storm of the Light Spain is the best Dissection album for me, because it's so unique. Lots of people have tried to copy it, but you can't mess with the original. Lots of good bands, lots of great albums, but especially for people that didn't try to sound like us. But the ones that tried to sound like us, they didn't have Jon. And that was the main part of it. He was fucking brilliant when it came to writing riffs and stuff like that. So yeah, album that stands the test of time, I think.
Well, I got to know Jon the first time on Bergslagsrocken, the year that Morbid Angel and Pestilence played, and I think that was 1990. And he was always somehow in my life around that time, because he had the Mega Mag that I bought from him, and I really wanted to be in the next issue. So we started, I sent him the Age of Sanity demo, and we wrote letters back and forth, and I thought he was a really cool and funny guy. And then it was so that my studio became pretty popular through the whole explosion there with some of the black metal demos started circulating, and also he was friends with Tony from Abruptum and Optalemia, and it was then a natural choice to record at my studio, because I cannot really remember if he did Optalemia before Dissection or not. This is a bit of a blur, but I do remember that he liked the vibe of the studio during one visit he did, and that it was more like of a rehearsal room. There was no like window between the recording engineer and the recording artist, that you could speak and just like use headphones, and it was very unstudio vibe, and he liked this. And yeah, the guys showed up in March 1993 and created some real serious magic there with the Somberlain. And I'm extremely pleased with the way that album turned out. They were very well rehearsed, and it really took the world by storm, that one, and also made them come back to do Storm of the Lights Bane a bit later, which was a bit more complicated. They actually came back a little bit earlier in 1994 and did a few recordings for the Wrong Again compilation, and then they came back to do Storm of the Lights Bane. And yeah, it was a pretty problematic recording because the guys had somehow changed a little bit their view on life, going more in this satanic thing, being swallowed up by the whole Norway scene and all that. And I was not really too happy with this, because I thought they had a very unique style with songs like the Somberlain and that. But you know, they wanted to move on, and they were going in a faster, more evil direction. And after I mixed it like 3 times, the album was ready, and that one took the world even more with Storm. And yeah, that was pretty much it.
Storm of the Lights Bane fu un grandissimo successo, ricevette un plauso unanime dalla critica e consacrò i Dissection come uno dei migliori gruppi del metal estremo in Europa. La band visse un periodo di grandissima fama, facendo tantissimi tour, con band come i Dismember in Germania, Austria, Repubblica Ceca, Svizzera e Svezia, e poi nel febbraio del 96 si unirono anche agli Hate the Gates nel Regno Unito, fino ad arrivare a sbancare addirittura negli Stati Uniti, insieme agli Hate the Gates e ai Morbid Angel, per poi fare tour anche con Satyricon e Gorgoroth. Il tutto si concluse nel 1997 con il Gods of Darkness Tour, insieme a Dimmu Borgir, In Flames e Cradle of Filth, con un'esibizione finale al Wacken Open Air. I Dissection insomma erano al loro apice, quindi chi poteva far finire tutto se non i Dissection stessi? In questo caso l'artefice della fine del successo dei Dissection in quel periodo fu lo stesso John Ulvint. Infatti negli anni 90 entrò a far parte di un ordine chiamato MLO, Misanthropic Luciferian Order.
Yeah, me and you, we were also neighbors for a couple of years. You know, when they did Storm of the Lights Bane, he asked me about the lyrics, because I am a teacher in English, and he asked me about grammar, etc. for that album. And yeah, I made some small corrections, nothing artistically. And Jun, he was pleased with that. And then, you know, we started another kind of separate group at the time, where we were 4 people. There was me, Nisse, Jon, and Johan Norman, and then another guy whose name I will not mention. And we set out, you know, as a private club to dwell in deeper things. But then the 4th guy, he wanted something completely different, so I left, and then Nisse left, and then Johan left, and it was only Jon and that other guy left in that group. And then, you know, we kind of parted ways, and then everything bad happened, and we didn't have much contact, just a few letters when he was in jail. And when he was released, you know, we met up, and he was a cool guy, you know. He was just happy and fooling around like he used to do in the old times, and everything seemed quite okay. And we met at the gig in Stockholm, and it was he seemed to be like he used to be before all that shit happened. So I was very surprised, actually, when he ended it the way he did. A very long time ago, but it was called MLO.
La filosofia del Misanthropic Luciferian Order era la seguente. Dio era visto come il demiurgo, un creatore malvagio che aveva imprigionato lo spirito umano, racchiudendolo nel mondo materiale e nelle leggi del tempo e dello spazio, mentre invece Lucifero era visto come un liberatore, un portatore di luce, conoscenza e intelletto, presentandosi come qualcuno che portava la conoscenza all'essere umano. La filosofia dell'ordine credeva infatti che prima del nostro universo esistesse il caos, una dimensione infinita e informe. Da quel momento sono in molti a concordare che la personalità di John sia cambiata radicalmente. Era completamente assorbito dall'MLO e il tutto è poi degenerato con quello che è passato alla storia come l'omicidio di Kayler Spark nel 1997 a Göteborg. In quello specifico caso John e tale Vlad, visto come il leader misterioso e carismatico dell'MLO, il ragazzo che Vassago non ha voluto nominare nel ricordare John e Dissection, si sono resi artefici dell'omicidio di Joseph Ben Medur, un omosessuale di 36 anni che i due avrebbero ucciso, anche se le versioni divergono su chi sia stato a sparare il colpo mortale. Ma le ragioni sono imputabili all'odio razziale e all'omofobia. Sta di fatto che nel 1998 John fu arrestato e condannato a 10 anni di prigione, ma verrà liberato nel settembre del 2004. Durante questo periodo poi assistiamo anche a dei cambi di formazione nella band, infatti il primo ad abbandonare è Ole Oman per essere sostituito dal batterista Tobias Shellgren. Dopo di lui anche Peter Palmdal abbandonerà la band venendo sostituito dal fratello di John, Emil. Con questa formazione la band pubblicherà solamente il Live Legacy, un live album che appunto verrà registrato con Emil e Tobias in formazione e che verrà pubblicato solo nel 2003, ma di fatto fino alla scarcerazione di John le attività di Dissection erano da considerarsi concluse.
To start with, as I said, the Dissection guys were friends of mine since before I become a member. So when they asked me to become a member, I was really happy to take the job because I've been a fan of Dissection before that since 1990, since the first demo. So I was really honored, and it felt like a natural thing to join the band because we were already friends, you know. And by that time, Dissection had already did a couple of tours, and they released 2 albums. So I joined the band right. I think it was almost the same day as Storm of the Lights Bane got released. So it felt natural and very cool because in my imagination, a couple of years before that, I was really thinking having the idea already. What if the guys call me and want me to join the band? And they did. And so it was a good time, really good time. We did a couple of tours and to play with Jon was exceptionally cool because he was a very cool person and a very good musician and really good songwriter and go really good times in rehearsal plays and private parties and also on tours. So really great. The summer of '97, we did the last gig. I think it was in Stuttgart. There is a gig. We did a Wacken Open Air Festival in '97, and that clip is on YouTube now, I think. So and the last gig was the night after that in Stuttgart. I remember it was the last gig I did with Dissection. And after that, me and Johan, we started to work on material for Soul Reaper. Although Soul Reaper was just a project back then, it was parallel with Dissection. And eventually, me and Johan, we rehearsed more and more, and we tried to rehearse with Dissection, but that wasn't possible because Johan wasn't there really. Then later, John got imprisoned in I think it was in December '97 for the thing he did, and Dissection split up in late '97. It was a combination between Jon got imprisoned And me and Johan wanted to create another band. So combination between those reasons, but mainly because June got imprisoned. If he didn't go to jail, maybe Dissection would have taken a different direction. But that is nobody knows, because it didn't happen.
Quindi le attività di Dissection sono riprese il 6 settembre 2004, quando Nullwind venne rilasciato, e vennero annunciate anche alcune date nel Regno Unito nel dicembre di quell'anno insieme ai Watain. In seguito al suo periodo di prigionia, John dichiarò: "Non tornerò mai più in prigione. So cosa voglio dalla vita e lo otterrò. Non ho la possibilità di cambiare il passato, ma posso affrontare le conseguenze. Senza questi duri anni in prigione non sarei quello che sono oggi. Questi anni mi hanno dato il tempo di valutare come vale la pena di sfruttare la mia vita. Sono stato fortunato. Ho avuto tantissimo appoggio dalla mia famiglia, i miei fratelli e sorelle da una parte e le incrollabili legioni di fan di Dissection dall'altra. Ho avuto le benedizioni degli dei oscuri per risvegliare la mia fiamma nera." I Dissection ritornarono in pompa magna con un grandissimo concerto tenuto alla Sala Arenan a Stoccolma, in Svezia, passato alla storia come il Rebirth of Dissection, in cui, oltre a John, erano presenti in formazione il batterista Thomas Asklund, il chitarrista Seth Taytan e il bassista Bryce Leclerc. Il 30 aprile 2006 per l'etichetta Black Horizon Music viene pubblicato l'album Ring Chaos, che vede in formazione, oltre a John, Thomas e Seth, come ospiti anche Wish Plasher dei Death Stars ed Eric Danielson dei Watain alla voce, mentre Bryce Leclerc aveva abbandonato già la band. Quest'album si discosta moltissimo da tutto quello che i Dissection ci avevano fatto ascoltare in precedenza. Infatti, il black metal melodico viene accantonato, preferendo sonorità molto più vicine al death metal melodico e molto più pulite, seppure sono apprezzabili i riff melodici, soprattutto dal punto di vista tecnico, e la produzione è molto ben fatta, cristallina e profonda. I testi riflettono poi le tematiche vicine all'MLO e alcune canzoni come Black Dragon oppure la title track sono pensati come veri e propri inni rituali occulti. Quest'album, a differenza dei due predecessori, non è stato apprezzato all'unanimità. In molti l'hanno definito un po' una mezza delusione, mentre invece altri, come me, l'hanno rivalutato in quanto non solo è il testamento artistico di John Nullwind, ma anche perché è un album con tanti spunti interessanti e tante canzoni ottime, non solo quelle che ho citato, ma basti pensare anche a Mahakali, che per me è un assoluto capolavoro. Quest'album ha rappresentato però il canto del cigno dei Dissection. Infatti, il 22 maggio 2006, John Nullwind annunciò lo scioglimento della band dichiarando: "Ho raggiunto i limiti espressivi che la musica ha rispetto a quello che voglio esprimere, per me stesso e per alcune altre persone che mi stanno a cuore, e adesso avanzerò verso nuovi regni espressivi. Onore a Satana, onore ad Azzarete 218. Il 16 agosto del 2006 John Nullwind si è suicidato sparandosi un colpo di pistola alla testa nel suo appartamento a Stoccolma. Diverse speculazioni sui giornali dell'epoca dicono addirittura che intorno al suo corpo furono trovati un cerchio di candele e una copia della Bibbia satanica di Anton LaVey, ma in realtà il chitarrista Seth Taytan ha poi smentito quest'ultimo particolare, in quanto il leader di Dissection disprezzava LaVey e la chiesa di Satana. I componenti del gruppo hanno poi testimoniato che John non è morto a causa di una qualche depressione, ma anzi la sua morte è stata una scelta consapevole, in quanto il leader di Dissection ormai riteneva che il suo percorso nella vita fosse concluso e di aver realizzato ciò che si era prefissato. Infatti, i membri della band hanno dichiarato: "Era più determinato, felice e forte di sempre. Ha scelto di mettere fine alla sua vita con le sue stesse mani. Da vero satanista ha vissuto la vita nel modo che voleva e l'ha conclusa quando ha sentito di aver realizzato il suo destino autocreato." La morte di John Nullwind ovviamente ha suscitato molto scalpore all'interno della scena black metal svedese e non solo, e sono stati molti quelli che hanno voluto ricordarlo.
Being in Dissection, I couldn't expect a better band to be with in Sweden, and I told John, and it was really what I thought. There is no better band for me to be in than Dissection in Sweden back then, and our relation was very good until I left. But because he didn't accept it and didn't like the fact that I moved on. But our time together worked very well. John was very, at least to me, he was very. He let me play what I wanted to play. He let me record what I wanted to. I'm gonna tell you, when I recorded Re and Chaos, I did it in 2 days, I think. and I was more or less ready the first day. The second day we did some details here and there, but he didn't show up. He didn't show up at the studio. He showed up only to listen to the tracks that were ready, and I think he did the same with Thomas. So he just let us do our thing and didn't interfere with us. He was very, very good with that. That was interesting to record Re and Chaos because I could do what I wanted. The idea I had when I recorded Re and Chaos is to, at least for my part, it was to make it as dark as possible. And I used a 5-string bass, which I didn't use before. I mean, so it was specially for Re and Chaos, and it was to be able to go in the lows as much as I could and make it even darker than it was. And that was the idea behind it. I left Dissection when Re and Chaos was not done yet, finished, at least with the vocals. We had recorded the drums, the bass, and John's guitars, and there was some leads and some vocals left. So I listened to Re and Chaos when it came out, but I didn't listen before. The thing is when I left the band, I asked them, okay, should we do a contract just for the record, or if you want to keep my bass lines, or you're gonna re-record it? And they told me they were going to re-record it, but when I listened to the album, there are my bass lines on it. So I was a little fucked up, but I didn't like that so much, but I live with it. Most of people know that it's me that recorded anyway. So I don't care about, and you got to know that there is no money earned with Re and Chaos because you went to hell with the label back then. And that was one of the reasons why I left as well, because I didn't want to do our own label. I wanted to sign with big labels that were interested in us. That was one of the reasons, because I thought that they were going to push us a little more, and we were going to reach for what we were thinking to reach. We had big opportunities back then. Not many people know about this, but there is Iron Maiden that asked us to open for them in UK. There is Ozzy Osbourne wanted us on the Ozfest in the United States. There was many big things happening back then. We couldn't do some of them, but I thought that we should have signed with Nuclear Blast, for example, because they had the rights for Storm and they had a lot to lose in the game. So I thought that we should have gone this way. They didn't agree with that, at least John, and that's why I left the band, because I saw this coming, that it was going to go to hell, and I didn't want to be part of it when it was going to happen. That's as simple as that. And when I saw that John killed himself, I was not that surprised. I was more surprised when I heard that he was going to stop Dissection. Then I was very surprised, because I knew it was his life, and I knew how important it was for him. And hearing that he was going to stop, I couldn't imagine him doing something else than Dissection. So I was not that surprised when I heard that he killed himself, because I think I really think that Dissection was the most important thing in his life, and he was very passionate and he gave everything to the band. So from one day to another, not to have this anymore, I mean, yeah, I thought, I'm not surprised.
He was always a nice guy. I don't think anyone that have met Jon haven't said that he's a really nice guy. Passionate about music and passionate about everything he actually dove into. He was passionate about. He was a really good friend, but then after 95, 96, he slipped away from me. He found other interests and stuff like that. So we totally fell apart. Not became enemies or something like that, but he did this thing and I did my thing, and everything was okay. So I really didn't know him at all. That was a different person. So I can't say anything about him when it comes to that time, because we didn't hang out. So when I met him at the Rebirth of Dissection gig, because we were playing before Dissection with Death Stars, I just gave him a hug and said, "Hey, nice to see you." It was a couple of years ago. Stuff like that, and we chatted and everything was cool. The second time I saw him, it was Midsummer Massacre. Something was up with him. I've never seen a person with so much dedication, and also he had a tranquility over him that was, I think he had decided already there that he was done. He had lost a lot of weight. He had that new face tattoo. And the darkest eyes I've ever seen in a person. I think he had completed, the journey that he set out to travel. So when Emil called me, we were going to play a festival in Germany. I don't remember which one, with the Death Stars. So on the same morning, Emil called me and said that Jon was dead. It really didn't shock me. But of course, such a great loss. I can't say that we were, friends, but as for me, it was a loss for music. He had so much more in him. So it's egotistical thinking from my side, I think. And also, I was so very sorry for his father, sister, and of course Emil. So I asked Emil, "Are we gonna cancel?" But no, fuck it, let's fly out. Let's do this shit. So totally unnecessary, but it was his choice, and I think it really it was what he wanted to do. It had a greater meaning behind it, and I have to respect that. Even though I really wanted a couple of more albums out of him.
We were good friends. I think the first time I met him maybe was 94. First guy of Dissection I met was Ole. We met on, I think we met on Roskilde Festival, in Denmark in 93, 92, 93, something like that. So we stayed in touch, and then somehow I guess we were hanging out when they played the show, and I got to know the whole band. Me and Blackman used to go to Gothenburg, staying at Jon's place and hanging out. And Jon and Johan used to come, when they were in Stockholm, sometimes they stayed at my place and we were hanging out. I only met Jon one time after he came out from prison. So so I had in contact with him in many years. I still meet his brother Emil once in a while, and we stay in touch. And I met Johan not too long ago. Jon was a fantastic guy and an amazing songwriter. I mean, the Dissection. I mean, it's amazing stuff that he wrote. It's like we were a bunch of guys, and it feels like sometimes when I talk to some friends from that time, it feels like it's sad, some of the guys like Jon and David and some other guys, they decided to end their life and not with us anymore, and could, keep on writing fantastic music. So yeah, that was greatly missed.
Indipendentemente dal fatto che si possa essere d'accordo o meno con la sua filosofia e con le sue scelte, io personalmente non lo sono, perché credo che morire a 31 anni e con ancora tutta la vita davanti non sia una scelta condivisibile, seppure va rispettata. Non si può negare che Jon Ulvinti sia stato uno dei musicisti più talentuosi, geniali, iconici della sua generazione. I Dissection sono stati la band black metal svedese per eccellenza e i loro album sono ancora oggi apprezzati e ascoltati da chiunque suoni e ami questo genere. Sono tra quelli che pensa che senza MLO probabilmente lui sarebbe ancora qui e che aveva ancora tantissimo da dare alla musica, secondo me, però purtroppo non è andata così. Ragazzi, questo è tutto, spero che il video vi sia piaciuto. Se il video vi è piaciuto mettete un like, iscrivetevi, ditemi voi cosa ne pensate di John of Vintage Dissection, fatemelo sapere sotto nei commenti, io vi saluto, vi do appuntamento al prossimo video, ciao a tutti.